All right, imports and exports. So when we're talking about trade, imports is the goods bought from foreign countries into our country for domestic use. Exports is goods sold to foreign countries, going out for domestic use. That's why you got imports. I have the arrows pointing into the country. Exports is things going out all across the world and everything back in. Hello and welcome to Economics, Unit 5, pages 14 through 15, Financing World Trade. Alright, so exchange rates. Price of a nation's currency converted to another nation's currency. Exchanging. And the reason why it's called exchanging is because it's an actual market where you're exchanging things. Just like the voluntary exchange we talked about before, you're exchanging one country's currency, probably your own, for another's, because your dollar is going to be very hard to use in another country. Even though it has value to them, the common businessman doesn't know what to do with that. He lives in the other country, not in America. He wants his form of money so he can use it easily and not have to figure out, like, how much is the dollar worth in my country's money? So there's exchange markets where businesses will help you exchange one country's currency for another country's currency, and they charge you a fee. But it's not. You shouldn't worry about scams, or you shouldn't fall into a scam, because you could look it up online. I mean, the exchange rates are pretty much the same for anybody in the business. They just all kind of compete to see maybe who has the best fees. The International Monetary Fund. They still exist today, but from 1945 to the 1970s, member countries, which was most major countries, including America, would come together and set a fixed value for each other's currencies. These are all the big countries, a lot of the European countries, Asian, North Americans, some of the South American, all the major countries. And they would lock down those prices. That's what a fixed value is, those prices of their currencies in comparison to each other. So if a Swiss franc was worth 80 Japanese yen, and that's what the exchange rate was, I mean, you could exchange one for that amount of the other, it would be locked down until they said otherwise. And sometimes they would increase the value of something, and sometimes they would devalue it and actually reduce the price of the currency. And that's lowering a currency's value in relation to another's currencies by government order. So they might reduce one or both in this case, or like I showed on the screen. But devaluation is when the government orders the lowering of the currency. But they no longer do that anymore. Now that doesn't happen anymore for currencies. Now they just offer monetary advice and financial aid and loans to countries. Now we have flexible exchange rates. I mean, supply and demand set prices of currencies. So if a lot of people want an American dollar right now, then it might appreciate and actually grow in value. Or if everyone thinks that America is about to go through a shaky economic time, maybe they think the value will drop, they might start selling American dollars and or exchanging those American dollars for other forms of money, like Chinese is yuan, that's the major form of money that's competing with America other than the euro. And in that case, the dollar could actually depreciate and drop in value. But the difference between depreciate and devalue is depreciate, it happens as a result of forces of supply and demand, not government order. No government can force depreciation. Balance of trade. So how to balance this increasing and decreasing of money, the money's value. Well, depreciation and devaluation is not always a bad thing. It can result in increases in aggregate supply to foreign markets, because if our dollar's value drops, that means our goods that we make and sell to others, our exports, actually get cheaper to them, so they're going to buy more. So we can actually make profit in times of depreciation, because we don't really have devaluation anymore. It's kind of a defunct term. So as the value drops of the dollar, the value of the things we're selling drops, but in dollar terms. But it might be a high demand product. Like iPhones do really well outside of America, just like they do in America. So the volume of iPhones might increase. However, at the same time, because our dollar is weaker, it makes foreign goods more expensive. So while an iPhone just to another country value might drop and their business might start doing well because they're going to sell more and that'll make up for the fact that they're not getting as much money for their products. In a world sense, us, the consumers, are going to suffer a little bit because we are going to be paying more for things. Like if we don't want an iPhone, we want a Samsung. If the dollar drops, those things we want from other countries are going to get more expensive.